Patrol group, union, said months ago, and no one listened to him. He said, we've been ordered to stand down on the entire southern border from San Diego to Brownsville. I'm going to read the quote coming up in a few minutes. We go down and get video of it. And even libertarian and conservative groups for a full week questioned our article that had quotes, video, and an ICE whistleblower on top of the head of emergency management of McAllen, Texas. That's a big town. That's a city. On video saying it, and the libertarian conservative media didn't pick it up except for DrudgeReport.com, because Drudge can watch a video and read quotes and knows we're credible. Let me tell you what's credible is getting upset and getting angry about this and getting out of our coma. Because if we don't get out of our coma when all of this is going on, we'll never get out of our coma, and it's going to get 10 times worse. Latin America, folks, is a scary place. We're being merged with it right now. And when you're flying out of this country, you should talk to the TSA, police, you name it. So this is a joke that you want to grab my testicles or put me in a naked body scanner, but the border's wide open. It's all a hoax, and that's the angle to hammer. We wear our bias on our sleeve. We tell the truth, common sense, and we put it out strong. This country is being butchered, and AP now admits months after the Border Patrol president and deputy president went public. It doesn't matter whether it's drugs, bodies, or how large the group is. Our agents are being ordered to stand down by the Border Patrol management, close quote, said Sean Moran, vice president of the National Border Patrol Council, told Breitbart News back in October. This is last year, excuse me. So we're talking October, November, December. Oh, my gosh, 9 months ago? Excuse me, I said a couple months ago. People accuse me of exaggerating. The only reason, there's a way I lie. And I've said this many times, and I'm going to be honest with you. The only reason I say things that are wrong a lot is a psychological phenomenon that British intelligence wrote about in some of their cyber warfare documents that were declassified a decade or so ago that I read in a psychology publication that I already knew prima facie. It was just common sense. That the human mind likes to dial down tragedy in its mind's eye. So they said if our special forces kill 40-something thousand people in an African nation, we want to report first that 4 were killed. I'm paraphrasing the article from years ago. I've talked a lot about it. We're going to say that 4 died instead of 40-something thousand. And then when the real numbers come out later, it'll make people doubt it. Well, I don't do this on purpose. You know, it's 100+ thousand have been killed in Mexico, and I keep saying 70,000 because it's an old number and I don't want to exaggerate. Or I say a couple months ago he warned people and no one listened. It's actually 9 months ago. And when I listen to my rebroadcast, sometimes I'll sit there and check stuff I'm saying. And if it's a headline, I get it right almost 100% of the time because I have a near photographic memory when I'm switched on studying news. But when it's me giving a number or something, I tend to dial it back. So for anybody that accuses me of exaggerating here, I've said repeatedly that 100+ million people ended up getting cancer from the polio vaccine. And when I went and looked up the Centers for Disease Control documents again yesterday, it was close to 180 million people that were vaccinated, and they believe most of them ended up, if they lived long enough, contracting a type of cancer from the dozens of lethal, highly active, aggressive, biological warfare they claim for monkeys, but it was beyond that, weaponized cancer that was put in the shots. Most cancer is viral, folks. The system knows that, so they give you the cancer. And then go, oh, it's genetics. That's why everybody's getting cancer now. We got the same genetics we had 50 years ago, 100 years ago. So, again, I'm already digressing. It just makes my head totally and completely spin. I've got so much other news to get to. It's just that every week I see articles in the Western world where little children were taken by the hundreds or the thousands and tortured to death, killed, given pesticides, given vaccines and tests till they died. And then put in mass graves, cesspits. I remember when it first broke 7, 8 years ago about them digging up small mass graves at Indian reservation, Christian orphanages in Canada. And now it turns out it's tens of thousands of dead kids with their heads clubbed in, their brains blown out. Of course, they got raped first. But because we're all so naive, I mean, it's literally every week they find a new death dungeon, a new giant septic tank in Ireland full of little dead Irish kids, or a new one in California, or a new one in Israel. I mean, it's just totally unbelievable. And now all over South Texas, they're finding mass graves of Mexicans and others that paid to get up to the border, and then were held captive by the coyotes, who are incredibly wealthy and taking over politics and worshipped by directors and movie stars. Because the whole Raza movement is just gangster, Satan worship, hardcore, feed on Hispanics as much as you can, hate white people as much as you can, hate blacks. It's the most evil culture you can imagine, superimposed to try to dominate and control Hispanics. Just like they sell evil to the black community with a gangster rap, or they sell evil to the white community. It's just total, pure wickedness, societal death, ladies and gentlemen. Just dead bodies all over the place. This is what's coming to America. CBS News, immigrant children were ordered by human traffickers to cut off fingers, ears of other kids. Every time he talks about that, they have the Southern Poverty Law Center come out and say it's not true. A few years ago, I talked about dozens of heads being chopped off in Arizona in 1 week and delivered, to the front of government buildings. And they actually had, quote, liberal media, fascist, hardcore, psych warfare, vicious media, posing as liberals, dressing trendy and going, look, I'm wearing a multicolored shirt and I have a beard and I act wimpy. That is a psy warfare cover of vicious commandos in a black op takedown. I'm not joking. They're black op commanders. These people are going to take over and put us in FEMA camps. But they learn to not wear uniforms because you see that as a threat. They've already taken over. They're going to start shutting everything down. They know what they're doing. They're into mind control, ladies and gentlemen. They're running it on you. And he goes on to say that there's a stand down. And now you go down there and the state police are down there and the local police are down there. And the Mexicans won't take any of the Latin Americans back. And they won't take any of the Mexicans back. And the jails are just filling up. And the feds are getting them and busting them deeper into the U.S. This is total and complete high treason. And the state police are down there catching aggravated felons and making the Border Patrol to at least deport those, because Obama got caught releasing 36,000 in 1 month last month. Do you understand the total mega magnitude? No one can describe what's going on. This is criminals, refugees, welfare queens of collapsed communist regimes south of Mexico that Mexico would never let in. One of the most controlled borders in the world. Look it up. Now they say you load on the trains, you don't get off the trains. They got Mexican troops lining it, and they come right in by the thousands, every train delivery, dump off, and Border Patrol buses are waiting with food and water, and they say, come on in, and they're bused directly into the heart of the country. And again, I have nothing against these poor, desperate people, but some of them that I do have a problem with are radical terrorist groups, radical Islamists, ISIS-connected groups. That's in the news. They have diseases. They have no future. And they're going to be used by the globalists as the giant ticking time bomb mass to riot and burn cities whenever the globalists want them to. That's what goes on in Latin America, folks. I challenge anyone out there that's a bleeding heart liberal and who's under this mind control, believing it's racist if we don't open our borders, give everybody free welfare. I challenge you to go to Paraguay or Ecuador or El Salvador or Brazil or Chile or Argentina. Argentina, just 50 years ago, was more wealthy than the U.S. 100 years ago, it was the richest country per capita in the world. As rich as an Argentine was the saying. Look it up. Incredible resources. They had corrupt, kleptocratic governments come in left-wing, right-wing, Pinochet, you name it. And Ted Anderson was down there a few years ago, and he said, Alex, it's worse than you even said. He said, you see good-looking families, like doctors, in suits patched, living in doorways on the streets with their children. It's scary. And it's all coming here. Any of you been to Nigeria? Any of you been to Calcutta? I mean, it'd be one thing if we had 50 million illegals here that at least were able-bodied. Most of these people are not able-bodied. They are the dregs of Latin America. And it's not going to be the tens of thousands like the Cuban crime wave of the 80s and Castro sending his jails here. It is going to be tens upon tens of millions. And this is the false flag. I now realize it. And we've talked a lot. We were the first to say it's in Operation Cable Splicer, Garden Plot, and Rex 84 to use a massive immigrant collapse in Latin America to bring in a crisis that brings in martial law. That's congressional hearings, Miami Herald. We need to dig up that stuff again and do a report on it to show folks that they're going to flood the country, just like Obamacare is meant to blow the economy, shutting off the power plants is meant to blow the economy, all the new regulations meant to blow the economy, and now they're going to ship in millions of destitute. I mean, already the soup kitchens, the churches, the welfare lines from New York to Virginia, to Kentucky, they are in panic mode, just overrun, ladies and gentlemen. There's The Economist, a decline without parallel. Argentina was Latin America's star, how it became a basket case. 2002. And again, that was multiple declines from the richest country in the world. Per capita. Switzerland had more rich people, or Germany did. England, you know, they were in the top. But per capita, I mean, it was high cotton for everybody. No more. Because they got the kleptocratic banking systems in. Yeah, if you read the Washington Post about what happened in 2001 there, it described a cattle trailer tumbling over on a highway and families running up and biting chunks out of the cows, eating them like wolves, with globulates of flesh on them, with blood spraying out of the cows as humans, like vampires, were just gobbling the beef. I'll never forget reading that article like 10 times on air. Just raw globulates of beef. And the article described it, formerly middle-class people, like hordes of demons. Within 8 days of not having food, over 90% of people become hardcore criminals and start murdering. Within 15 days, almost 100% become cannibals. The globalists say the world is unsustainable. Our carrying weight is unsustainable. Whether that's true or not, they've decided under Agenda 21, Cloward and Piven's a small piece of that, to implode the West and implode the third world and let a hellstorm come out that the military, the police, and the control grid, the drones and the robots will mop up, having what's left of the middle class serve the elite and the police state to survive, and authorize tacitly the extermination of 90+% of the world with a bioweapon. They may get it so bad that the public welcomes it, and it's a public sterilization or cauterization. They have shut off the economic systems. My God, I can see the whole plan. Oh, my God. And I don't want to kill all these people down there. I want them to have jobs in the future. I know the globalists did deals to shut off their industry, paid off all their leaders, billions apiece in some cases, in almost every case, to shut off all industry and jobs, to kick all the farmers off their land. They did this. They did this to Latin America. They did this to Africa. They did this to areas of Asia and the Middle East, just like you see them destabilizing Iraq year after year with new staged events. They don't want any other sovereign nations or anybody, and they're going to take us down as well. If they don't want the Iraqis having their daughters go to college, do you think that the globalists want you to go to college or you to have a future? They're going to end it all in a planned dark age. And you're now seeing the beginning of the controlled collapse. And we predicted they'd do it through border implosion. We didn't predict. It's in the Banff Canada secret meetings Judicial Watch sued and got. 2007. End game, blueprint, global enslavement. It's free on YouTube. Go watch it. Watch Bush admit we'd already merged with the EU in 2007 on C-SPAN. It's already happened. They had microphones hanging up in public 25 years ago. Chicago's now announcing it. Don't you understand the magnitude? I'm right. I'm correct. I've done the research. I know what I'm talking about. I don't like being right. I wish I was wrong, but I'm correct. Red level emergency. Red level. Red level. Red level. Don't you people get it? Don't you understand? You're marked for dead. All you dumbass yuppies and trendies that think you know it all you so-called tough guy men out there that strut around all day and laugh at men that care about what's happening in society. Your kids are all going to die from cancer. You're going to die young. The whole program is being launched. They're accelerating it. All hell's going to break loose. The next decade will be a decade of war and famine and annihilation. Proxy wars, death, bioweapons. And I'm not trying to scare people. I want you to get ready. I want to try to stop it. Oh, my gosh. Yeah, they're getting into the particular documents. There's thousands of pages of them. It gets into using the crises of immigrants. I don't know what to say anymore.
General, what do you think about the FBI saying that there's a terror alert on Monday about a potential Fort Hood situation?
The police are shoving people, shoving Alex, shoving the crowd.
Here we go, folks. I'm being assaulted.
Whether it's the radio show, the news websites, documentary films, or the nightly news, InfoWars is the tip of the spear.
Is this another false flag stage attack to take our civil liberties and put more homeland security while sticking their hands down on the pants on the streets?
It's up to us to set brush fires in the minds of men and women everywhere. And that's what PrisonPlanet.tv is designed to do.
You watch, the Assad regime is going to be blamed or accused of using chemical weapons against the so-called rebels.
What we see now is a war against reality. It's a war against the truth.
It's more vital than ever that supporters of freedom become members of PrisonPlanet.tv and share their membership with up to 11 friends and family. Visit InfoWarsNews.com today. Become a member, share your membership, and help take the InfoWar to the next level. And you just ride in on a train, and then there's a Greyhound bus, picks you up, and says, where would you like to go in Mexico, senor? Well, I think I want to go to Chiapas. I think I'm going to move into a Chiapas village, and I'm going to make them pay for everything for me. Thank you, senor. And you get on the bus, and you drive down, almost 1,000 miles to southern Mexico, and you pull up in Chiapas, and you get off, and you just walk over, and you say, I'm here, pay for everything. And, well, somebody walks over and punches you right in the nose, and that's what would happen. First, people would laugh at you. It'd be real funny. But see, we are the schmuck. We are the sucker. We are the joke. America is a giant toilet where the politicians, the bankers, we let the bankers steal tens of trillions of dollars in the banker bailout. We let our troops use DU. That's a death sentence. They had DU in the 40s, folks. They wouldn't let our troops use it in 46 because it was so deadly. Used to the reactors, if they were leaking, it was a big deal. Now, most of them leak, 90+%. So what? There's an attitude of just not caring by the general public, but the elite is beyond that. It's like they're space aliens that want to destroy the country and the world. I'll never forget watching that Trinity and Beyond, narrated by William Shatner, where they detonated hundreds of hydrogen bombs in the upper atmosphere trying to blow holes in the atmosphere to see if they could blow up the Van Allen radiation belt or destroy the atmosphere. And, of course, look, we can destroy the atmosphere. Does anybody see a problem with blowing holes in the ozone layer? Which they then blame on the general public and tax you over. I just can't handle it anymore. And no one even made an issue out of that show when it came on. I'd read declassified documents about that before that aired in the 90s, but I always obsess over that because it's like, let's see if we can blow up the atmosphere. They would fire missiles up into the edge of space and detonate them just to see what happened and to see what the energy pulse would do, the electromagnetic pulse as well. It was 3 tests. And then the radiation level went up. And again, I'm not being gloom and doom. These crazy people are out of control. Why do you think the U.S. took 36,000 top Nazis to run every major department in the country? Because they were crazy enough to do what the New World Order wanted. Crazy people, folks. Yeah, they got 180 IQs. They're nuts. Oh, yeah, those Nazi scientists, I've read the history books from U.S. scientists. There's nobody as smart as them. The Germans before World War II invented almost everything at that time. They'd surpassed the U.S. They surpassed England. But they were crazy. And if you weren't one of them, they'd kill you. And I'm not saying it's a Nazi conspiracy we face. I'm saying it's like powered by Energizer. The whole world you see today was thought up by a bunch of crazy Nazis and British eugenicists and U.S. eugenicists who actually created Hitler. And you go, well, why did they set him up and destroy him? Because that was part of the plan. Just like they create Al-Qaeda to wreak havoc and then they pose as saviors. Full spectrum dominance. I mean, aren't people smart? Alex Jones here to break down some exciting developments in the area of research concerning supplemental iodine. It's nothing less than phenomenal. I began to get into iodine a few years ago because it was helping me and my family so much get healthy and detoxify. And I used some of the mainline iodine supplements and they upset my stomach and I had some issues with it. Until I discovered a product being developed by Dr. Group, who I was already interviewing as an expert on my radio show, and I began taking the product before he actually rolled it out. You now know it as Survival Shield True Nascent Iodine that your body can really absorb. Then, about a year ago, he said, listen, if you think this is powerful, I'm going to come out with rare earth, deep earth crystals that are incredibly powerful that no one else has as a source for their iodine from between 7,000 and 12,000 feet, literally drilled out of the ground. You put it on a hot plate and it turns into the pure gas. No one else has 99.99% pure iodine. And the results that I personally have had have been life-changing. I was over 270 pounds. And with the iodine, exercise, and better diet, I have lost now more than 50 pounds total, and I'm continuing to lose the weight. I have more energy, my libido, all this crap came out of my skin. I believe our research is conclusive. This is the best iodine out there. And I know this for a fact. Nobody else has got iodine based on these pure crystals, ladies and gentlemen. This is innovating. This is trailblazing. And the best part is it helps fund Infowars.com, the radio show, the TV show, the whole media operation promoting true libertarian ideas. For a limited time, experience the ancient power of Survival Shield X2. Take advantage of this unprecedented 30% off Super Detox special at InfoWarsLife.com.